Let's talk about Russia, a country that loves to project the image of a fearsome bear, always marching out its military might for the world to see. The parades, the flags, the stern faces, Russia wants everyone to know it's a force to be reckoned with. But lately, that fearsome bear has been looking less like a predator and more like a clumsy panda, tripping over its own feet and making the world do a double take. Just last week, Russia unveiled its latest pride and joy, a shiny new nuclear-capable missile hyped up as the next big thing in military technology. The goal? To look intimidating, to send a message to the world that Russia's arsenal is as powerful as ever. Instead, the missile barely left the ground before erupting in a spectacular fireball, right there on Russian soil, in full view of the world. This wasn't just a minor technical hiccup or a small misfire. We're talking about a multi-ton missile packed with toxic fuel, doing its best impression of a toddler's firework, except a lot more dangerous and a lot more embarrassing. The Kremlin's response? Silence and denial, as if pretending nothing happened could erase the giant smoking crater from everyone's memory. It's a perfect snapshot of Russia's military ambitions versus reality. Putin talks up invincible weapons, but the hardware seems determined to self-destruct before it even leaves the launch pad. Imagine ordering a killer robot and getting a toaster that electrocutes you instead. That's the level of disappointment we're talking about. A weapon meant to instill fear has become a punchline, the subject of jokes on late-night TV and memes across the internet. Instead of a warning to adversaries, Russia delivered a reminder that sometimes your biggest enemy is your own incompetence. And the consequences aren't just embarrassing, they're dangerous. For people living near the launch site, it's not just a national embarrassment, it's a real threat, with toxic chemicals in the air and emergency crews scrambling to contain the mess. The missile didn't just fail to hit its target, it failed to even start its journey, never making it past the first hurdle. The world watched, and instead of awe or fear, there was laughter. Leaders and citizens alike shaking their heads at the spectacle. Russia's so-called superweapon became a super flop. A cautionary tale for anyone who believes their own hype. And the fallout, both literal and figurative, was impossible to ignore, leaving a mark not just on the landscape, but on Russia's reputation for years to come. Why risk these tests? The point is to send a message to NATO: fear our power. But instead of awe, the world saw a missile blow itself up on the launch pad. The intended intimidation turned into a global joke, undermining Russia's carefully crafted image of military competence. Western analysts probably breathed a sigh of relief, and maybe even laughed. The ambition is there, but the execution is a mess. Putin wants to resurrect Soviet-era fear, but reality keeps tripping over itself. Russia's monster keeps setting itself on fire, and the world is watching. If this was a one-off, maybe you could forgive it. A single failure, after all, can happen to anyone. Even the most advanced militaries in the world have their off days, but it's not. Russia's missile program is a series of spectacular failures. Think Wile E. Coyote but with nukes. Each test seems to end in disaster, as if the universe itself is in on the joke. Remember the RS-28 Sarmat, better known as Satan II? It's supposed to be the crown jewel of Russia's arsenal, a missile designed to terrify the world with its sheer destructive power and advanced technology. In 2024, they finally launched it after years of hype and delays. Moments later, it exploded in mid-air, lighting up the sky for all the wrong reasons. The so-called Devil missile fizzled out like a cheap firecracker, scattering debris across the test site and leaving nothing but embarrassment in its wake. For military experts, it's both alarming and darkly hilarious. The world watches, half in disbelief, half in amusement, as Russia's most fearsome weapons keep failing in spectacular fashion. These are supposed to be weapons of mass destruction, yet the failures are so frequent and predictable, they become almost routine, like a tragic slapstick comedy. Russia keeps promising global annihilation, boasting about its nuclear might, but instead keeps delivering burnt kitchens and smoldering test sites. The Satan II and the latest explosion are just the most public embarrassments, but they're far from the only ones. Each failure chips away at the myth of Russian military invincibility. Both were meant to scare the West. Both ended up as self-owns, broadcast for the world to see and mock. This isn't just bad luck, it's systemic. The problems run deep, from outdated factories to a lack of skilled workers and chronic underfunding. Shoddy manufacturing, rushed deadlines, and incompetence are the real culprits behind these disasters, creating a perfect storm of failure. The result? Expensive, dangerous, and very loud mistakes that put lives at risk and make Russia look foolish on the world stage. Russia's so-called super weapons are starting to look more like cartoon props than credible threats, more fantasy than fearsome reality. So how does the Kremlin keep up the illusion of military might? The answer is surprisingly simple: animation. Instead of showcasing real military achievements, the Russian government leans heavily on computer-generated imagery to project power and technological prowess. Russian state media churns out slick CGI videos of flawless missiles, all set to dramatic music. These animations are designed to impress both domestic and international audiences, making Russia look like a high-tech superpower. In these cartoons, Russia is unstoppable. The missiles always hit their targets, the technology never fails, and the country's enemies are effortlessly defeated. But in reality, the missiles keep blowing up. Test after test ends in fiery explosions, far from the perfection seen on TV. It's like a dating profile with a 20-year-old photo. The truth is much sadder. The glossy image hides a much less glamorous reality, one that's hard to ignore. When Putin unveiled new weapons in 2018, he didn't show real tests or working prototypes. Instead, he presented flashy cartoons, hoping the world would be convinced by digital fireworks. The real missiles were either still on the drawing board, stuck in development, or already in pieces after failed launches. The gap between promise and performance was obvious. These animations aren't just propaganda, they're a substitute for reality. They fill the void left by failed projects and broken equipment, offering a fantasy of strength. The government shows invincible weapons on TV, while the real world is littered with exploded rocket parts and failed experiments. It's a tale of two Russias, the animated superpower that exists on screens, and the real struggling one that faces setbacks and disappointment. The cartoon is always more impressive, but wars aren't fought with CGI. Real power is measured on the battlefield, not in animation studios. The gap between fantasy and reality keeps growing, and as long as the Kremlin relies on cartoons, that divide will only get wider. Beyond embarrassment, these explosions have a toxic consequence: the infamous purple cloud. When missiles explode, they release heptyl, a hypergolic carcinogenic fuel, into the air. The result? A giant ominous purple plume drifting toward nearby towns. It's like the world's worst gender reveal party, except the big reveal is cancer risk. The government's response? Silence. No warnings, no evacuations, just denial. Local authorities parrot Moscow's line: "It was a planned exercise." The priority isn't public safety, it's protecting the narrative. This isn't just negligence, it's a deliberate choice to put image over lives. The toxic legacy is recurring. In 2019, a similar missile test killed scientists in spiked radiation. The response was the same: deny, deflect, downplay. The purple cloud is a symbol of the government's toxic indifference. This pattern of denial is straight out of the Chernobyl playbook. In 1986, the Soviet Union hid the nuclear disaster for days, prioritizing reputation over safety. Fast forward to today, a missile explodes, a toxic cloud forms, and the official reaction is to pretend nothing happened. The first reports come from locals on social media, not the government. Only when the evidence is overwhelming does the state admit anything, and then it downplays the danger. The technology may have changed, but the mindset hasn't. Secrecy trumps safety, and the public is left in the dark. For all the talk of a new Russia, the old habits remain. The purple cloud is a modern echo of Chernobyl's radioactive plume, a symbol of technological and moral failure. The state's image always comes first. Russia's obsession with image goes deep, right down to the names on the map. Chernobyl's plant was named after Lenin, tying its success to Soviet greatness. When disaster struck, officials quietly dropped Lenin's name to protect the legacy. It wasn't just a meltdown, it was an ideological crisis. The lesson: when reality is inconvenient, just change the name and rewrite the story. Today, it's the same with Putin's superweapons. If the real missile fails, show the animation. If a test creates a toxic cloud, call it a planned exercise. Potemkin villages, fake facades, are still alive and well. The image of strength matters more than actual strength. Putin's presidency is built on this principle: restore greatness on TV, even as reality crumbles. The names may change, but the game stays the same. Russia's bad luck isn't limited to missiles, it's hit the space program too. At Baikonur Cosmodrome, the main launch tower for Soyuz rockets simply collapsed. No explosion, no storm, it just fell over from neglect. This halted all Russian crewed space flights for the first time in over 60 years. The symbolism is perfect, a monument to past glory, crumbling from present-day neglect. The same disease plagues both missiles and space political theater over real investment. Putin prefers announcing new weapons to fixing old infrastructure. So, Russia wants to be a superpower, but its hardware keeps blowing up or falling apart. The punchline is dark. The obsession with image puts people, and the world, at risk. The cartoon must go on, even as reality falls to pieces.